Yo, what up, Street Gods? This is Eric Kim. Alright, the thought. This one is on creative optimism. So, the basic gist is I think one of the most important characteristics for us photographers and visual artists to cultivate is optimism. Because without optimism, you can't create none. And also, without optimism, the artwork you create is going to be tinged with I don't know, pettiness or resentment or things which are otherwise unpleasant. And so, one of the things I'm trying to promote is creative optimism. So, creative optimism could be unpacked and unraveled in a lot of different ways. So, first and foremost, you remain optimistic to continue to create new things. And also, you continue to stay optimistic about like being happy about the progress of your photography, your visual arts, and whatever. And the art of creativity is one that I kind of like to think of it like an eternal return or this kind of creative flywheel where as you're making artwork, whether it be visual arts, dance, photos, videos, whatever it may be, music, the process is so enjoyable to you in itself, and by being able to create and share, it also brings you joy to know that your what you create can impact other people's, and therefore it's motivation on motivation. And even I think it was Man Ray, the photographer slash artistic genius, who said, for me, one enthusiast is enough, which means as long as you have one person who's enthusiastic about your work, it's good. And so how do I stay creatively optimistic? Simple things. Okay, first and foremost, I think a lot of people, when they feel depressed or unmotivated or whatever, I think actually it's an issue of physiology, so pertaining to our body. So for example, if I slept poorly or I didn't sleep enough or I'm sleep deprived, whatever, I don't have any motivation to create anything. And so for me, sleeping 8 to 12 hours a night, depending on how hard I went, is essential to me. Also, some sort of form of physical activity. So working out at home, going to the gym, park, whatever it may be, lifting weights, yoga, barre, whatever it may be. And also, things that have helped me is if I want to be sharper and more creatively productive, intermittent fasting is essential for me. Like, whenever I have breakfast or lunch, it totally kills my creative spirit for the rest of the day. Because if you think about the impetus to create, it's like, why do humans have stomachs, right? The reason we have stomachs and we get hungry is that the hunger motivates us to move. We're not like automobiles where you insert the gas and then you do your thing. The hormonal process of hunger is a good motivation for us to do things. And so I almost feel that the most naturalistic way to live is, fast throughout the day. And once the sun goes down, it's dark, it's dinner time, and then you break your fast, and then you take a hot bath or a cold shower or whatever have you, and then go to sleep, and then start the whole process all over again. And so I think that's important. And also certain things which are also I'm lucky because I got Cindy, but a lot of people, if you're stuck in quarantine without any sort of social interaction engagement, my heart goes out to you, is that we do also need the warmth of human interaction. And even if you're alone or whatever, insofar much as you can interact with other humans, going to the grocery store, chatting, making small talk with people, eating out, dining out, takeaway, any form of face-to-face human interaction is good. Certainly virtual reality, texting people, Snapchat, video chat is better than nothing. But if you want the full gamut of human interaction experiences, face-to-face embodied reality tends to be the best. And so also I found that probably the biggest way that I was able to stay more creatively motivated and optimistic is mostly via negative, is getting rid of social media. For too long, the issue with social media is that like your happiness and your joy is predicated on how many likes you get, and it's you only feel happy as you see the number of likes going up. So for example, let's say I uploaded a photo on Instagram. I deleted my Instagram like 4 years ago, and let's say I got 1,000 likes, and I'm like, wow, feels good. And then the next day I upload a picture and I only get 500 likes, only 500 likes. Then I feel like shit because I'm anchoring my sense of progress or joy to that number, and anything lower and higher than that is kind of, is gonna fuck up my mood. And this is what I've realized too, is that like, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast, and Slow. Humans, we always anchor things and we always frame things and we compare things. There's no absolute value. So for example, it's not about how much money you make, but it's in comparison to what. So question, who would be happier? If you're born into wealth and let's say you're born a billionaire and then slowly for the rest of your life, your money slowly keeps going down until you die only making $40,000 a year, or the person who, starts off life making only $10,000 a year and then slowly goes up to making $100,000 towards the end of their life. So, typically human happiness and motivation it's not ultimate values. It's more of like the trajectory things. When we see things on the up and up, we get happy. See things going down and down, we get pretty miserable. And so, and that's why, probably the worst thing you could do for your happiness if your self-esteem is dependent on numbers is comparing your likes or your follower numbers to other people on social media, or even comparing your bank account to other people. I think Nassim Taleb says something like, the quickest way to become poor is to move into a rich neighborhood, and the quickest way to become rich is move into a poor neighborhood. But anyways, so yeah, I think deleting Instagram, getting rid of Instagram is probably the best thing you could do for your own personal motivation. It's even funny because like even now I'm starting to get the vibes that like I mean, I'm 32 right now, so I've been able to see like, Zynga, MySpace, Facebook, Instagram, like Twitter, and now TikTok starting to take over. And there's always going to be a new something. And like already like even in 2020, everyone's got a Facebook, but it's kind of like for old people. And then everyone's on Instagram stories, but then the real young kids, they're on like Snapchat or TikTok. And even now, I don't know, in some ways TikTok is getting more popular than Instagram. So essentially with social media, everything, all the hype, it's always going to be on to the next one. Like even with rappers, right? Remember like a year ago, like Migos was super on top. Ain't nobody talk about Migos no more. It's all about like, Da Baby or Lil Baby, etc., etc. Or, everyone's about Cardi B. I don't know the last time someone's mentioned Cardi B recently. And so once again, with social media and these forms of external validation, especially with technology, it's always going to be on to the next one. And probably the most robust thing you could do is own your own platform, which means owning your own website. You can register a website on bluehost.com, install wordpress.org. And then as long as you have your own domain, like your first name, last name.com, you own the creative modes of production. I call this like, digital Marxism, right? And so once you could not be a digital sharecropper, like building your empire on quicksand or the empire of somebody else, you build upon yourself. And the reason why this is so important and effective is that as you could continue to, build your own empire upon yourself, you could focus on artistic and creative longevity. And I think as artists, to think longevity-wise is probably the most essential thing. Like even Dr. Dre has been game 3 decades plus. 2 Chainz, Eminem, Kanye, Jay-Z. And so I think creatively speaking, focusing on longevity is far more robust than focusing on just being like a huge flame that kind of dies pretty quickly. And this is even one thing they do say about like, for example, love. True love, or the best type of love is kind of like coals that burn on for like 70 years, rather than a hot flame that kind of and then goes down, right? So for example, currently in Providence, Rhode Island, it's like snowing outside. It's like kind of like a snowstorm. I would probably prefer a house that's constantly, 62 degrees and a little bit chilly and I could just, put on sweaters and stuff like that, then have a house where I put on the heater for 80 degrees and then for the rest of the day it's like 30 degrees in the house. And so I think also when you think about creativity, it's always like you want the fire, the creative fire to always be burning. And the way that I've been able to personally do it is cross-pollinating widely. Don't stick in just one ghetto. Don't just do only photography, only video, whatever. Allow yourself to do everything. So, I make beats, I make videos, I make vlogs, I blog, I vlog, I like to make poetry, I like to rap. And even lately, I really like the Google Arts and Culture app. I've been studying a lot of the Bauhaus. I love Bauhaus design, typography, Archimedes, mathematics, whatever. And being able to cross-pollinate all your different interests, it'll keep the creative juices going on far longer as your competition. And I think this is why Kanye is such a genius, is that he had the courage to not just focus on just like producing or rapping, but also doing fashion, the product design, and now, running for president, politics, and also new experimental modes living. And so I think the best way to live life is to become a human in which you don't limit yourself to only one creative endeavor. You indulge yourself in everything. And the purpose of your life is to always be allow yourself to be a little bit like reckless in your wild and your experimentation in terms of creating art, exploring new things, producing things, sharing things, whatever, but also using your life as one fun experiment to see how far you could soar and thrive, discover new ideas, create new artworks, and just make the world a doper place.